Hey, what's going on? This is Mark with Hindsight, and in today's video, I take my 1968 Plymouth Fury trunk from this to this. Check it out. In the last video, I fixed the hinges and installed struts so that the trunk lifts and works like it's supposed to. And the next step was to fix the holes in the floor. As you can see here, I used an aftermarket trunk corner. This is the spot that had probably the most damage. I think the car was tilting this end down, so this side wasn't as bad, so I basically patched the holes that I found, and then the deep set part of the trunk had the most rust to it, so I just replaced that section. And then that spot there, you can even see from the previous videos, that was probably the biggest hole, and that runs along the frame rail. So that's been replaced. And like I said, the trunk corner. All right, so here's an update. I've got all my welds grinded down. I did replace the section here from the previous video. After I POR 15'd it, I could see a lot of the metal had been rusted out. Even though it didn't have any holes at this point, I felt like I got this pretty well set up, so every time I looked at it, it was going to haunt me. So I have shined a light through it, so I made sure I got all my pinholes. I did weld from the backside as well. I will grind those down as I paint the bottom side with the POR 15 as well, but making progress. All right, so here's an update on the trunk. This is the second coat of POR 15. It's still wet. It's probably going to make it look better than it's going to look when it dries. But I am super happy with what this is turning out. I feel like, that was my new section. It is not perfect. It is not a show car, but it is so much better than it was before. Next, gonna do the bottom. Do the same POR 15 on the bottom. Okay, I don't think I showed this before. So here is the underside of that trunk pan, and so I'm gonna POR 15 as well. And in this part right here, this is the factory. This is what was there before. It's interesting how bad it is inside the trunk, but where the gas tank protected it, it really did a good job of keeping it from getting pitting on this side. And then here's my new section of metal. So I'm going to POR 15 this to protect it, and then I'll be able to put the gas tank back in. All right, so here's what it looks like after one coat of POR 15 on the bottom. I love the way this stuff looks. I don't think I really showed my seams. I kind of grinded them down a little bit just to kind of make them not as noticeable. My bad welds anyway. But I think all of this is coming out really well. I'm gonna let this dry, put another coat on probably, and then I can put the gas tank back on, and I'll get to the other sides and stuff like that next. So thanks. Here's what the wood insert looks like. I had to use piano hinges on the edges because number one, I couldn't fit this whole piece in there as one piece, and number two, I want to be able to take this out to do maintenance or whatever. If I have a cooler in here and I spill a bunch of water, I can take this thing out and let it dry or whatever. So basically, I gotta use the other end. slide it back, get it away from there. I'm gonna slide one end up just to bring it over a little bit. Flip one side, flip the other side, and I can just remove the whole thing out as one big piece. Okay, so I've been playing around with the wood insert, and I wanted to make the transition where the piano hinges were a little smoother, so I'm using some Bondo glass. I think it's similar to like Mar glass. It's short, small strands of fiber inside the resin, and then this should fill the gap in a lot better, protect the hinge, you know, all that kind of stuff. So as you can see, I use like a thin painter's tape along the hinge to protect it so that it didn't get fiberglass inside the hinge and mess with it being able to move. And then some thicker painter's tape on the edge so that it can give me a nice straight line. So here's what this side looks like after I've just removed the painter's tape. I let the fiberglass dry, and then I hit it with some sandpaper just to kind of knock it down, get it kind of smooth. I mean, the wood itself is not like super perfect, so I just wanted to get it so that it wasn't, you know, that when the felt lays down, it's going to lay down smooth. So got this side, and then I painted this side half black already. And on the camera, you can really see it better than I can in person. But I still have a couple more coats, but I think you get a gist of what's going on. All right, so I'm in the process of gluing the felt to the back of the wood. I got the top side up. Thank goodness, didn't put it on backwards. And basically, I am using this Super 77 spray adhesive by 3M. And you basically spray it on a nice even coat, and then when you touch it, if none of it goes to your finger, then it's still tacky and it's ready to apply. So I need to put this on quick. All right, so last night I finished up the felt. As you can see, I got everything tucked, and I'm really happy with it. But the only thing I'm not happy with is the wrinkles here and there. And I think that's just the result of, you know, the side panel going at an angle, and then this part that's tucked in, so it's creating a wrinkle. I need to figure out if I make a seam, I can kind of tuck it in a little better, or maybe put some Velcro down to make it so that it spreads the angle a little better, or I just leave it alone because the spare tire is going to go right in here, and I may not notice it. But you know, I got it so that it tucks in. There's going to be a cover for when the top's down. It's going to cover part of this, so you're not going to see. And then there's a panel that goes back here to block the back of the seat, so you don't see that. But overall, I'm really pleased. Let me know what you think. Was this not worth the effort? It was basically, I don't know, 2 days worth of work to cut the wood and create the seams. I am pleased that I did the fiberglass to kind of smooth out, so all you do is see the hinge edge. You don't see the hinge and the sides, and you know, it kind of follows along the corner. I still need to do seam seal, but overall, really pleased. Next thing to do is to build the cover for the spare tire. So I'm just going to keep on going, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, so I'm on to the circle part, and here's what I got set up. I got my router with, I think that's what 1/4 inch long screws. It's just stuff I had around the house, and built this little jig that is the right depth for the size circle that I want to make. And I did do a test piece, so I'm going to go ahead and route this. They say to do it in 1/8 chunks, so I'm going to give that a shot. I don't have enough wood to do 2, so I hope this works out. For the sides of the cylinder, I used a process that I believe is called kerfing, where you make slits into the wood. This is plywood, so I left one layer, and then so I set my circular saw up to the right depth so that I wouldn't cut through all the way through, but just left that last layer, and then cutting 1-inch increments gave me a decent bend to it. And then so I soaked the wood, the walls, so that I could flex it in without too much trouble. And it really wasn't bad. So I soaked the wood after making the cuts, and then used a tie down around the spare tire to keep it in place while it dried. And at that point, it pretty much kept the same shape and wanted to go into this position. Here's my seam. Basically, it's just extra scrap from the ends, and then I use that to as a seam for it, and then used my router, the same router pattern process that I did for making the outside cylinder. I just kind of brought it in and made a inside cut, and then used some scraps to use as an inside brace so that I could finish nail the top to the cylinder. So I was having concerns about, how are you going to, if I just fold this over, I'm going to have these wrinkles. So basically I did this where they were felted in two different processes. There's some dirt. And then they just fit right on, and then I finish nailed around the edge into that extra piece. So there you go. Okay, so that is it. I'm not gonna lie, this thing is huge. The spare tire is huge, so the cover is going to be huge. I may have to bring it back a little bit because of the convertible top, but I need to test it. Or I have the option of maybe bringing it down a little bit. I have extra felt if I need to redo the sides. But anyway, I am really pleased. This is kind of what I was hoping to do. Yes, I still have to do the plugs and seam sealer and stuff like that. But I've been dying to do this and see what it's going to look like. And I'm really pleased. I have to me, a well-sorted trunk space. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm glad I'm also recording this because this is probably going to be the cleanest this trunk is going to be for for a while. So anyway, thank you guys again, and I will talk to you all later.